to know this. President Obama strikes back. Speaking at the Associated Press luncheon today, President Obama took aim at the Republican budget introduced by multimillionaire Congressman Paul Ryan. He took a sledgehammer to the whole idea of trickle-down economics in general. First, the president laid out what the stakes are in this debate, calling it a make-or-break moment for the middle class.
This is not just another run-of-the-mill political debate. I've said it's the defining issue of our time. I believe this is a make-or-break moment for the middle class, and I can't remember a time when the choice between competing visions of our future has been so unambiguously clear.
One vision is Paul Ryan's budget, which passed out of the House of Representatives with all but 10 Republicans supporting it. Here's how the president described the Ryan budget.
This congressional Republican budget is something different altogether. It is a Trojan horse. Disguised as deficit reduction plans, it is really an attempt to impose a radical vision on our country. It is thinly veiled social Darwinism. It is antithetical to our entire history as a land of opportunity and upward mobility for everybody who's willing to work for it.
The president then went on to give examples of just how harmful this budget will be to America if it's enacted.
If this budget becomes law and the cuts were applied evenly, starting in 2014, over 200,000 children would lose their chance to get an early education in the Head Start program. 2 million mothers and young children would be cut from a program that gives them access to healthy food. There would be 4,500 fewer federal grants at the Department of Justice and the FBI to combat violent crime, financial crime, and help secure our borders. Hundreds of national parks would be forced to close for part or all of the year. We wouldn't have the capacity to enforce the laws that protect the air we breathe, the water we drink, or the food that we eat. Cuts to the FAA would likely result in more flight cancellations, delays, and the complete elimination of air traffic control services in parts of the country. Over time, our weather forecasts would become less accurate because we wouldn't be able to afford to launch new satellites. And that means governors and mayors would have to wait longer to order evacuations in the event of a hurricane. That's just a partial sampling of the consequences of this budget.
But the president didn't stop at the Ryan budget. He went on to blast the whole idea of trickle-down economics that has infected our nation since Reagan and is at the core of the Paul Ryan budget.
For much of the last century, we have been having the same argument with folks who keep peddling some version of trickle-down economics. They keep telling us that if we convert more of our investments in education and research and healthcare into tax cuts, especially for the wealthy, our economy will grow stronger. You would think that after the results of this experiment in trickle-down economics, after the results were made painfully clear, that the proponents of this theory might show some humility, might moderate their views a bit. But that's exactly the opposite of what they've done. Instead of moderating their views even slightly, the Republicans running Congress right now have doubled down.
This is one of the most passionate speeches against the Republican Party that the president has given since his inauguration. But we shouldn't look at today's speech just as a change of tone coming from the president. It's also a sign that the progressive activism on the ground over the last several months is starting to trickle up to our elected representatives. Here's the bigger picture. We don't elect leaders in America. We elect representatives. The words leader and leadership don't appear anywhere in the Constitution. It's representatives and representation. Here's how it really works in the real world, in the political world. When a parade gets big enough, when enough people are out in the streets, when enough people are speaking out, and that parade is marching down the street, A politician will look out there, oh, whoa, look at that, and jump out in front of it and lift a flag and say, this is my parade. They will claim it. FDR wasn't elected on a platform of the New Deal. He was elected on a platform of small, gradual incrementalism, but it's what the people wanted by the time he was sworn in, and so he jumped in front of that parade and called it his. LBJ wasn't elected on a platform of civil rights or the Great Society that actually cut poverty in the United States in half in 4 years. But that's what people wanted. He jumped in front of that parade and said, this is my parade. A president can have the best intentions in the world. President Obama, when campaigning back 4 years ago, talked about a public option for health care and fundamentally changing America to undo Reaganomics. He never got enough of the people or the people's representatives with him to pull it off. Hopefully now, after we've seen the debacles in Ohio and Wisconsin and all around the country with all these right-wing economic policies and the crash of the Bush years, there are enough people awake and aware of the damage that 30 years of Reaganomics and an unrelenting war against working people and trickle-down economics have done to us. Hopefully now other Democrats will feel enough wind behind their backs that they can also jump out in front of this parade. So now we have the attention of our lawmakers, and our president is calling out the radical right-wing vision of America presented in the Paul Ryan budget. What directions do we need to push our lawmakers in? What will it take to bring back the middle class in America and give working Americans a shot at achieving the American dream again? Here to answer that is James Hoffa, General President of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Mr. Hoffa, welcome back.
Tom, good to be here.
Great to have you with us. First of all, what's your take on the president's speech today?
It was great. I mean, he's really basically starting to take the gloves off, fight back, and he's got to do this. And he really has been a little bit late to the game, I think, and now he's finally coming out. We first saw it at Labor Day when he came out, started talking against right to work, started talking for collective bargaining. First time he's ever mentioned that, and since then he's getting better. But, you know, he's really got to get off and start putting the mitts on and get into the ring, because he's in a campaign right now, and whatever's going to happen, I think he's in good shape, but he's got to really be strong, be emotional, and get out there, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah, and he's about to be hit by an avalanche of money. I mean,
oh, yeah. Well, he knows what's coming. He knows they've got more money than he's got, no matter how much he thinks he's got and how much they've spent so far. You know, it's going to be a tremendous battle. They're going to do, you know, you talk about swift boat. They're going to find some way to make him look bad. But the answer is, I think the way things are going in America, I think he's going to be okay. And, you know, the drift in the Republican Party and these horrible what we've been through right now, the primaries have been devastating, I think, you know, to the Republicans. They've really shown these people to be not ready for prime time.
Yeah, and not to mention the Ryan budget. Now we have the 99% spring, and I was reading about the Teamsters in Michigan, and now it's moved into Ohio, about the Red Cross. I didn't realize the Red Cross in Michigan was getting blood for free, selling it for over $100 a pint, and made over $2 million last year, and doesn't want to give their employees health care? Do I have this right?
It's unbelievable what's going on at the Red Cross. And they pay the CEO like $300,000. You would think the person would do it for free. I mean, what an honor to be head of the Red Cross. You know, be somebody that retired that should do this job. They pay this person a tremendous amount of money. And then when it comes down to negotiating, it's not just in Ohio where we're having this battle. We're having it in Colorado. They basically fight us all the way. And they're making profits on blood. And it's amazing. It's a business, you know. And what we want is a fair share for our people. We've got people on strike. We just did a demonstration at the Red Cross building here. And we've got to call attention to the fact that the great Red Cross that we all hold, you know, dear to our hearts, we all hold the Red Cross, isn't that wonderful? They really treat their people terribly, and what we've got to do is to have justice with Red Cross.
It's probably quite shocking for most Americans. Talk about the 99% spring. Your thoughts on this. What do you see happening and coming now in America?
I think it's, you know, it's basically part of a bigger thing. It's really part of this whole issue of what's going on in America right now. This battle with the right wing, you know, basically the Tea Party that's taken over the Republican Party, the fact that the party is moving so far to the right, talking about things that America doesn't want, you know, getting rid of Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, you know, basically cutting everything, you know, tax cuts for the rich, you know, basically keep the, you know, we got, you know, whatchamacallit, We got Romney paying 14%, and we've got my truck drivers paying 30%. How is that fair?
Yeah.
And basically, this is what, you know, the 99%ers are about. It calls attention to the fact that we do have problems in this country. And, you know, they like to call this class warfare. The minute you start talking to a person that is taking advantage of somebody poor, they always say class warfare. That doesn't work here because they don't want to talk about the fact that basically they're paying 14%, they've had advantages, and they want to keep the other people down. So basically, I think this is healthy. It calls attention to the fact that we do have this problem of the great separation in this country between the rich and the poor. And the answer is every statistic shows it's getting greater every day. The rich are getting richer. The poor are getting poorer. There are less jobs in this country, less good jobs. And that's the problem we face. So the more that we have about the spring is the best thing to get the media out there. The Teamsters are going to be out there. Let's go out to every city. And the good thing about it, the media loves it.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. If you don't have the media, it didn't happen.
Right.
So if you can get on the 6 o'clock news or the 6:30 news, you've got something about thousands of people saying, you know, where is our freedom? Where is our economic opportunity? That draws attention to the fact that we're talking about the fact of opportunity in America.
Yeah, and brilliantly done. Finally, we just have 30 seconds. Romney and Santorum, your thoughts on this, the remnants of this primary?
Well, I mean, they're two losers. I mean, they're really, you know, they're polling terribly against the president. They're destroying each other. I think Romney's going to be the candidate, but, you know, you look at what he talks about. He's so out of contact with the average American. I mean, he talks about Cadillacs. He's from Michigan. He comes there and trashes the auto bailout, which is one of the big successes in Michigan. He talks about Michigan being nice because all the trees are level. The guy is like out of contact with you and I.
Yeah, it's
and
like,
I think people sense that.
It's like K. Bailey Hutchinson, I think, or whoever it was, said about George W. Bush. He was born with a silver foot in his mouth. You know, it seems like Mitt Romney. Anyhow, James Hoffett, thanks so much for being with us. Great to see you again, too. Thank you very much.